Good morning. Happy Black Friday to you. Happy holiday full season right now. And hopefully you had a pretty happy Thanksgiving yesterday. This is Jay. It is 10:20 a.m. Central Time on the 29th of November, 2019, Black Friday here in the States. A lot of things going on in the world right now. And for me right now, I am literally, let's just say podcast check-in, but actually I've already started the podcast. So I've actually recorded 2 episodes of another podcast, and now I have the intro and open and have the full bulk of the work for the conversations, this weekly wrap-up podcast coming up today. I've not been on for I think about a week. I think at least not all this week. It's been been an interesting week. Pardon me if I'm sideways. I just have the laptop sitting here in my makeshift recording office studio stuff. You can see the TV behind me. I've moved from sitting on the couch to trying to be more professional. There's wires and stuff everywhere because the whole thing is pretty thrown together in this little cramped space. I haven't been here in a bit, and I miss doing these talks to you guys. I have been trying to get as much stuff as possible. I think over the past week, we got 3 days of the newsletter. So if you want to check out the newsletter, go to the website, thisisaconversation.com, and click on any link for the 8 things to talk about daily newsletter. There are links to MailChimp, so you can get signed up for that. A very poorly written open letter because it was from campaign from far back of trying to get people into the newsletter thing, and then it just I just hadn't fixed it. Every time I go to look at things, I see something to fix, but I get distracted by fixing something else. In a week where a lot of crazy things happen, and at this very moment, they are tracking a person about 2 years or so to the day-ish, attacking folks on London Bridge with a knife, although this time in broad daylight. Black Friday for Londoners as well. Boxing Day is the after Christmas. I get this. I do that all the time. That's happening right now. A lot of things going on with the president who returned back from Afghanistan a couple hours ago. A surprising trip. As he's done his last kind of trip, he went to Iraq last Christmas, I believe, or maybe last Thanksgiving. Went away for his time and then showed up with the troops, which is how this is done. They're big secrets, and then of course the craziness that is President Trump and how things get recorded. I don't think I have anything for those two. I have the knife stabbing in London ready to post in a little bit because I saw it right after a post popped through. And it's Friday, so we have a full day of stuff going on. A little rambly today. I'm a little out of it, so sorts, whatever. I wanted to come on to say thank you, and it took me 3 minutes to say thank you for being a part of the conversation as long as you have been, whether it's been just stumbled upon this recently, whether you've been with us for a little while, checking out the podcast, whether you've been with this podcast or the whole project for, which I think is actually 5 years. Podcast is about 3.5, 4 years of being some sort of podcast. This project was about 2 years prior, say 6 years or so. I had to start off for a way to bring people in for a survey type operation, which we still every so often get the wild hair to try, even though it doesn't really launch very well. So if you're willing to give up a little bit of demographic information for a chance to get into paid surveys, email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com and say that, and we will try to get this thing back going again. It's really great that we want to try to do that. Many people, because of the reach we have and the way we talk to people from different backgrounds and around the world, we have a great way of connecting with folks and getting information from very diverse people who really do pay attention to things. The business part and the functional part of that never worked out. Oh, I was saying thank you. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Thank you so much for being a part of what's going on. We'll give extra thanks to people who have given us Patreon love next week in the podcast, but coming up this week, I just want to say thank you so much. As I had this thing I've been writing, I'll publish this weekend, if you follow my personal newsletter, that talking about forced thanks on Thanksgiving, where the weirdness of, being in a room where people have to go around the table and everybody say thanks for something. And sometimes it's a new group, so you're a little nervous about it. Sometimes you don't really have something to be thankful for. And this year, where I'm thankful for my health, thankful for y'all, thankful for a lot of chances to do some really cool things. There's a lot of things that happened in 2019 that um, aren't so great, and unfortunately are rolling over into 2020s to make it start off not so great, just personally and professionally, I should say, mostly professionally. But even in times like this, you have the power to react to pretty much anything any way you want to. Apologize for being rambly. So I am trying my best to be positive. Some days I'm not as positive as others, but trying my best to be positive, looking forward and planning things ahead towards greater things. This is a conversation will probably never become the massive operation that I dreamt it up to be 6, 7 years ago, but it is something that does mean something to enough people that it's worth doing. So thank you for it meaning enough to you guys out there that this is worth doing. If you need something from me, email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. If you want to help make this thing go bigger, go to the website and click on the links for any of our sponsors and buy through the links. That way we get a little chunk affiliate links off of what's going there, especially for Cloud9 Living. We're going to push Cloud9 all holiday long because they are the best gift you can get to anybody. So that can be found directly at thisisaconversation.com/Cloud9Living. You can also directly fund the operation, patreon.com/thisistheconversation, or you can try buy me a coffee /J Cleveland Payne. And both those options actually have ways to do repeat service. The buy me a coffee, now you can do it through buy me a coffee and buy me a coffee every month or 2 or 3, however you want to. The biggest thing I need you to do is to go to the website every so often, click on the links for the podcast, click on the links for the newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter. I know there's a lot of call to actions, and listen to the podcast. The more podcast listens I get, because remember, there are commercials embedded in there. That's the best way to make sure that we make a little money, and it takes little effort out of you. And of course, share the experience with others so we have more people join the conversations. And email so we can chat back and forth. And a partridge in a pear tree. That's it. I've got to get this stuff done. It is almost 10:30. It is Friday, the day of Black Friday. The little one and I are hanging out again. And so I promised her some time for a little walk out to the park. We have a couple of parks that are over the edge of some really cool running bridges, pedestrian bridges. So she wants to go check those out before it gets too crazy out there. So I need to get this thing recorded so we can have some park time, some fun time, and maybe do some shopping for Black Friday. Thank you guys so much. We will check you out. Hopefully you're checking me out in a couple hours when this thing is done. And I'll check you out hopefully Monday morning.